Welcome! Today we're going to look at a complete game between two Wonders of the First demo decks. We have Brian playing Open the Arsenal, a Heliosynth Boundless deck. And we have Ryder playing Dragon Dynasty, which is Sulfera and Thalwind. We flipped a coin, and Brian gets to mulligan first. Each player has the option to mulligan by putting up to 3 cards from their hand on the bottom of their deck, and then drawing enough to bring their hand back up to 7. Brian's starting hand: Indra's Citadel, Technohistorian, The First, Scorpion's Edge, Trinity Barboni, Patch Squibbler, and Solaris Stormcaster. Ryder's starting hand is Vulcan Veil, Iron Citadel, War-Tamed Manticore, Dragon Gold, Thundercrash Axe, Sunsand Gold Scale, and Koi Scale. To start round 1, each player gains 3 actions, 1 energy, and each player draws a card. Brian spends 1 action to play Resonance Reach, a land that reduces the cost of all his Heliosynth cards. Ryder plays The First, a multi-land that reduces the cost of all his cards of all orbitals. Brian spends 1 action and 1 energy to play Trinity Barboni, a wonder that gets buffed when equipped. Ryder plays Koi Scale for 1 action and 0 energy. It would normally cost 1 energy, but The First is reducing its cost to 0. Koi Scale is a baby dragon that gets buffed on defense. Brian plays Indra's Citadel, a land that reduces the cost of all his boundless cards. Ryder spends 1 energy in his last action to play Sunsand Gold Scale. It's a baby dragon with flying, and whenever he plays a wonder with cost 5 or more, he gains 2 energy. To start round 2, each player gains 3 actions, 2 energy, and draws a card. Brian spends 1 action to play Patch Squibbler, a 3-power lizard. Ryder spends an action to attack with Sunsand and Koi Scale, then uses flying to move Sunsand over to Realm 2. Brian spends an action to attack in Realm 2, taking the stone as his Patch Squibbler wins against Sunsand 3-2. Ryder spends an action and 2 energy to play Thundercrash Axe, equipping it to his baby dragon. This gives it an extra attack each round and +2 power. Brian plays Scorpion's Edge on Trinity. Because it has attuned, it doesn't cost him an action. Trinity is a 3-power wonder that gets +3 when equipped, so Trinity is already up to 8 power. Ryder gets a free attack from his axe, so he attacks in Realm 2, taking the stone from the Squibbler. Brian is out of actions, but he really wants to use that sword, so he taps a land to harvest it and gain an extra action. Brian spends his action to attack in Realm 1 and take the stone from the Koi Scale. To start round 3, each player gets 3 actions, 3 energy, plus an extra energy for each stone they control. Then each player draws a card. Brian spends an action and 2 energy to play Technohistorian, a 3-power wonder that reduces the cost of his items. Ryder uses 1 action and pays 3 energy for Dragon's Gold, an item which reduces the cost of wonders that cost 5 or more by 2. But only for him. Dragons are greedy. With no enemy wonder to fight, Technohistorian picks off the stone in Realm 3. Ryder spends an action to play another Koi Scale and he gets to sit on his big pile of gold. Brian plays the Light Forge, another boundless land. Ryder plays another Koi Scale, building his baby dragon army. Ryder's flying dragon still has that axe that gives it a free attack every turn, and so he attacks even though he's already winning in Realm 2, just so he can activate flying and move to Realm 3. Both players are out of actions now, and neither one wants to harvest any lands for extra actions, so it's on to round 4. To start round 4, each player gets 3 actions, 4 energy, plus an extra energy for each stone they control. Then each player draws a card. Brian plays Professor Tiberius to threaten in Realm 4. Thanks to his Dragon's Gold, Ryder pays only 2 energy and 1 action to play War-Tamed Manticore, a dragon beast with flying. Brian plays Solaris Stormcaster. It costs him only 1 energy and no actions because it has attuned. The Stormcaster gives -5 to an enemy whenever Professor Tiberius attacks. Professor also draws its controller a card when equipped. Ryder puts an end to that nonsense with Lurking Blood-Eyed Dragonette, a dragon that destroys an item on arrival. Ryder once again exploits the axe that gives him a free attack with his Sun Sand, captures the stone from the Techno-Historian, and then moves his flying dragon over to Realm 4. Both players pass and we go to round 5. To start round 5, each player gets 3 actions, 5 energy, plus 1 energy for each stone they control, and they each draw a card. Ryder spends an action to attack with all his dragons in Realm 4, then sends his Manticore flying over to Realm 5. Brian plays a Cybernetic Enhancement on his Patch Squibbler. It costs 1 energy and doesn't cost an action because it has attuned. Since Heliosynth is the orbital of technology, a lot of its equipment will cheat by not requiring an action. Ryder spends an action to attack in Realm 5 with his Manticore, picking up the stone with no resistance. Whenever that Manticore attacks for the second, third, or more times in a row, it gets +2 counters every time it attacks. Brian spends an action to attack with his Enhanced Squibbler, taking the stone in Realm 2. Ryder plays Dwarven Vault in Realm 5. Pretty much unfair card that says, you just can't take this stone from me. On his turn, Brian plays a Cybernetic Enhancement on Professor T. Again, because it's a Heliosynth card with attuned, he doesn't spend an action on it. And Professor T gets equipped and lets Brian draw a card. That Professor T is now a 7 power. On his turn, Ryder spends an action to play Vulcan Vale land in Realm 2. A second or third land of the same orbital doesn't stack. It won't give you extra cost reductions for Sulfera cards, but you can still harvest it for actions. Brian pays 1 energy for the item called Gleaming Power Cell. It says that at the end of each round, he can put counters on it equal to his energy, and then use those counters for energy in the next round. Brian is looking to really power up all that high-tech equipment he's got. Brian spends an action to attack with Enhanced Professor T. That's 7 power against the 2 baby dragons, one of which has the axe. Wins the stone. Brian puts counters on his power cell, and we're ready for round 6. At the start of round 6, each player gets 3 actions, 6 energy, plus an additional energy for each stone they hold. Plus Brian gets an additional energy for each counter on his power cell. Then each player draws a card. Brian was the last one to capture a stone, so he gets the first turn. He plays Technomad Nyx, a 4-power wonder that lets him get back an item from the abyss. Technomad Nyx likes to scavenge and repair things, and this time he's found himself a perfectly good Solaris Stormcaster to repair. But Ryder is also drawing a lot of his weaponry. He puts a huge Vapor Blast artillery on his Koi scale. Vapor Blast gives the equipped wonder +3, but it also allows that wonder to blow away an enemy to a nearby realm. On Brian's turn, he spends an action to pick up the stone in Realm 6. It was just lying on the ground with no defenders. On his turn, Ryder spends an action to attack with his Koi Scale and Vapor Blast, sending the Patch Squibbler over to Realm 1. Ryder's Koi Scale just strolls into the empty space and picks up the stone. Brian spends 1 energy and no actions because it has attuned to play Solaris Stormcaster on Professor Tiberius. That's the one that Technomad Nix found in the garbage and repaired. Because Professor Tiberius really likes to be equipped, Brian gets to draw a card. Ryder realizes that his baby dragons are going to get annihilated by Professor T's Stormcaster, so he spends an action to attack and use flying to move them over into Realm 5, where they're going to be relatively safe. Brian uses 4 energy and 1 action for the legendary Emma Shockbite. She gives all his item cards attuned, meaning they don't use an action when played, and when any of Brian's equipped wonders attack, they get +2 that round. Brian currently has 3 equipped wonders that can benefit from this. Ryder spends an action to attack in Realm 5 with his army of dragons, and then flies them over to Realm 6, leaving his stone contained in his Dwarven Vault. There's no way to get to that stone unless that Dwarven Vault is destroyed first. Because that Manticore attacked for the 2nd time in a round, it gets 2 +1 power counters. Hopefully it doesn't attack again. Thankfully, both players pass, the round ends, Brian gets to put spin counters on his power cell, and we move to round 7. Brian takes all the counters off his power cell to gain energy. Then each player gains 7 energy for round 7, gains 3 actions, and draws a card. Ryder plays Blinsworth Goldscale, the big daddy dragon of all his baby dragons. It normally costs 6 energy, but because of all his cost reducers, it only costs him 3, plus he gets 2 energy back. Plus, when Blinsworth takes a stone, it generates 3 energy for him, and he draws a card. In a brilliant play, Brian plays Static Shock, a spell that says whenever an enemy attacks this round, it gets -2. Ryder can't believe it and has to reread the card. That'll teach you, you big bully dragons. Ryder doesn't care. He spends an action to attack with Blinsworth, gaining 3 energy and drawing a card. Brian has another Stormcaster. He puts it on Emma Shockbite. That only costs him 1 energy and 0 actions. Now Emma turns into an 8 whenever she attacks, plus she'll deal -8 to an enemy. If she attacked a 2nd time, she would become a 10 that deals -10 to an enemy. Emma's a huge threat on the board. Ryder plays another Lurking Bloodeye in Realm 1 to destroy a cybernetic enhancement. Now Brian spends an action to send Emma and her Stormcaster crashing into the 2 remaining dragons, destroying one of them and taking the stone. When the poor little Sun Sand Dragon got destroyed, it dropped the Thunder Crash Axe, which automatically equips to the Manticore, giving it +2 and a free attack. Ryder realized that their power was equal in the last attack and the stone shouldn't have moved. What's more, all of Ryder's cost reduction kicks in, and he's able to drop Drogathar the Destroyer, a 13 power wonder. Drogathar has flying, and whenever it attacks, it destroys a land or item in the same realm. Brian does a last attack with Emma, which is just enough to take back the stone. Ryder is ahead 4-3 and is out of actions. Brian only has 1 action left that he could use to attack, but he has no winning attack positions on the board. It looks like this game may be over. But wait, what's this? Brian has a Black Hole Blunderbuss, which gives his Techno-Historian +9. With his last remaining action, he attacks, beating the Koi Scale and taking the last stone of the game. No actions left, no lands left to harvest. The game is over, ladies and gentlemen. Brian wins 4-3. Good game.